back to the Tune Project. If this is your first time here, I make videos just like this one every single week where I teach tutorials, I play covers of popular songs, and I have open jam sessions with my friends called Rutabaga Sessions. So if you find this video to be helpful, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you're new here and haven't yet subscribed, please hit that subscribe button below. I made a video a while ago where I played 3 traditional Swedish tunes. Some of you requested that I make a tutorial teaching these Swedish tunes, and so that's what we're going to do today. Today I'm going to share with you the first tune from that video, and forgive me, I'm not sure what the name is. When I learned this tune way back in the day, I was not told the name of this tune and I haven't been able to find it since. So if you happen to know the name of this tune, please let me know, that would be amazing. But here we go, here is a fairly easy Swedish traditional tune. So this tune starts on the A string, and we begin with just an open A. So you'll notice that I played B twice in there, and each B was on an up bow. So you're going to go ahead and do a double up bow for each of those Bs, and then we also have a turn. Now I played it slowly, but when you perform this tune for real, you would actually play it a little bit faster, as demonstrated in the beginning of this video, so it would sound more like this. The next section begins exactly the same way, but it ends a little bit differently, so listen for that. Okay, so that time the Ds were on an up bow. We had 2 Ds and we played each of those on an up bow before returning to D string and ending there. In this next section we have another little turn, so watch out for that. Okay, so the turn was going from F sharp to G, back to F sharp, and then to E. Next, we go all the way to the E string, so we're hopping from the D string to the E string. It's a little bit of a jump, and we're starting on our 3rd finger, A. Okay, so a couple of stylistic things going on in there. We did have a turn on both the E string and the A string. Now, you might be wondering why I'm including stylistic elements when I'm teaching the melody for this particular tutorial, because if you've seen my other videos, you'll know that normally I start with just the basic melody and then include double stops or grace notes, other stylistic elements. But for this particular tune, the stylistic elements are essential to the melody. So instead of teaching you those separately, since they are so paramount to the rhythm of this tune, I'm going to go ahead and just include it. Next, we play almost the same section that we just did. However, the ending is slightly different, so listen for that. Okay, so instead of going all the way to the E string, the second time for the ending of the A section, we go from the D string to the G string. So I'll go ahead and play just that ending for you one more time. So with that ending, we had a C sharp on the G string, so a high 3rd finger, and then immediately afterward we had a D where I used, you'll probably notice, my 4th finger. So keep that in mind, listen for that intonation because it might feel like a bit of a stretch if you're not used to it. Now you probably noticed that I added some double stops when I was playing this tune in the beginning of the video, and you're more than welcome to do that. It can be really fun to throw those in there, just add some layering. So feel free to add as many open string double stops throughout this tune as you want to. Moving on to the B part, we begin on the E string where we start with an A, our 3rd finger. Okay, so I went back and forth between the E string and the A string, and you might have noticed I kept my 1st finger down the entire time. So we keep that 1st finger on the F sharp because clearly we're coming right back to it, so there's no need to lift it. For the next section, we have similar string crossings but different notes. Okay, now that time the 2 notes we went back and forth between were C sharp and E, And that time we leave our second finger down on the A string on that C sharp. Next. Okay, so there we had a turn that was similar to what we saw in the A section. Okay, so that part is a little bit tricky, so I'm going to do a little bit of explaining through this. We do have a G sharp, so a high third finger on the D string, and a C sharp high third finger on the G string, just like we saw for the end of the A section. So be mindful of that. We do have high third fingers and fourth fingers throughout here, and we're going to come back and play that same thing in just a little bit, so hang on to that. Next, we play the same thing that we did in the beginning of the B section. This part changes just a little bit because we have a turn between our A, B, and A, so be mindful of that. So listen for that in this next section. Okay, so remember before we just had, but now we include the turn and it sounds like this. So it changes the rhythm just a little bit. And for the ending of the B section, okay, and that's the whole tune. I like to play that last note, the A, as a double stop, so using my fourth finger on the D string, played in unison with the open A string, and that just kind of gives a nice sense of finality to the tune, and kind of just wraps everything together. Congratulations on learning this awesome Swedish tune, and now I'm going to do just a quick recap just to go over some of the things that we talked about throughout this tune. So firstly, we talked about the turns, and I mentioned how we were learning those simultaneously with the melody just because it's so important to the rhythm. So be mindful of those when you come across those turns. Keep in mind that it is a part of the rhythm rather than just an addition to the melody. Also, another thing we talked about, especially when we came to the B section, were the string crossings. So we have quite a few string crossings in the B section between A and E, so make sure that you leave your fingers as necessary down on the strings so that you don't have to lift them up and reset them each time you come upon that string. And lastly, we talked about intonation a little bit with the third and fourth finger. So whenever you come across one of those high third fingers, G sharp or C sharp, make sure to really listen carefully to that so that you're in tune, you're not too flat or too sharp, and then also your fourth finger is doing its job as well. And that's it, guys. Now, before we get into the play along portion of this video, I just want to mention that during the play along, I'm going to be playing the A section once and the B section once. You're probably used to hearing me play A sections twice and then B sections twice, just in terms of the form, but for this one, it can kind of go multiple ways, and you can choose to play the A section multiple times and the B section multiple times and then just keep looping that over and over. However, for the sake of this tune and just becoming more familiar with it and comfortable with it, I'm going to go ahead and just keep it simple and just play an A-B form. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Happy practicing!